Welcome back to the channel, everybody. My name is Kyle. This is Kyle by the Creek. I'm at my brother's house right now. This is my brother's machine. I actually don't even have any numbers for you. It's a Bobcat, that's about all I know. As the video goes on, I'm sure I'll get to know this thing a little bit better. But we are going to take it up to our property in New York. We have about 60 acres up there in the Adirondack area of New York. We're about a mile away from Lake Champlain. And the property is still pretty raw, although we do have that little mini micro cabin up there. But we definitely need to do some work up there, and so we purchased this, I don't know, I think it's a 62-inch brush cutter, and the Bobcat has this attachment as well. These two attachments, the bucket and then the forks. So this thing is quite a unit. And our grass is getting pretty long up there, so it's Bradco 17880 is the model. And so we are paying a company to transport this thing. It's about 4 hours from where we live, right here, to where our property is, and we don't have the means to get it there ourselves. So in a day or so, a company's gonna come and pack this thing up or get it on their trailer, their flatbed, or their, I don't know what they're doing, we'll find out, we'll see. And they're gonna take a day or so and get it up there for us, and then we're gonna meet them up there, and my brother and I are gonna do some work. Here's another thing I decided to do with this machine. I went and got one of these Apple air tags, and it just like gives off a little ping to tell you its location, and you can use the Find My app on an iPhone, and I labeled this thing Bobcat. So when the company comes, I'm gonna embed this thing somewhere in there, but when the company comes to transport this thing, we'll be able to track it, and then even when we're home, we'll be able to see that our, you know, our expensive equipment is okay in this property. So yeah, that's what we'll do. We'll find a good spot for this Apple AirTag. I'm not gonna lie, I have no idea how to operate this thing. My two brothers own it, and yeah, so I'll be maybe learning how to drive it this weekend. We'll find out, but yeah, a little overwhelming just sitting here, but all right, where would you put an air tag? Find some little spot. Up in there maybe. It's not really like there's any storage. Maybe behind here. I don't know, I'll find a spot. All right, I wedged it there. It's in like the cabin filter, which I'm sure doesn't work. So yeah, that's good and in there. All right, that's where it is. So it's the day before we go up to New York, and one job that I need to do while I'm up there is work on my quad. If you remember, the gas tank on my quad got pierced with a stick while I was off-roading in the snow, and my idea to repair the plastic gas tank is to cut up a bunch of fuel grade plastic to melt it and then patch up the gas tank with it. So I figure this will be really easy to cut. This is an old oil container, and this is pretty heavy duty plastic, but I know that this obviously will hold up. This is a gas can. So I'm gonna cut this up somehow and get myself a bunch of shredded pieces, and then when I get up there, I'll worry about melting down the plastic and trying to repair the tank. Here's what I came up with. Just used my cut-off wheel and cut up this tank pretty good into a bunch of little shreds. Have this tin can with a couple squares in there, and I'm gonna heat it up with some propane, see if I can get it to melt in there and maybe begin to manipulate it, and then I'll know that this will work out. So let's heat this up. Got it sitting on a stump here with some vice grips. Heating up pretty quick, huh? Well, it was just a gas can. So I guess we shouldn't be surprised by that. Huh. Really don't want it to catch on fire, but more just melt, but I don't know if this will work then. Put a much bigger piece in there now. That's kind of what it's doing. Yeah, I guess it's just because it's been soaked in gasoline, it's very flammable. I'm sure, I don't know, I guess it's flammable anyway, just being plastic? Or should it not be flammable because it's gas tank plastic? I really don't know. But it's burning very easily. Looks like bacon fat. A little more pink. Looks like bacon. Alright, so here's the slab. I mean, I don't really like this dripping fire. But can you work with this? I think so. Can you patch a hole? Maybe. Here's a big slab of it. I don't like that it's on fire. Yeah, I don't like that. Okay, I just switched to the black oil container, and that seems to be a little bit better. So it doesn't seem to be on fire as much. So like here's a big blob of it. When you take it out, it's on fire, but let's see if I can blow it out. See, you can blow it out, whereas the gas container just did not want to get blown out. So that to me seems like I can work with that and patch up a hole. So maybe the oil container is the ticket. Let's see how that hardens. That's really hard. So I have a feeling this is the way to go. Okay, I think I figured out how I want to do this. Here's obviously a slice from the red gas can. I actually think this might be the product I'll use. So this is how I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a small piece of it on fire, blow it out, and then I'm going to let it cool a little bit. And then you can kind of work it, and it's a little slimy and not so sticky at first. But you can kind of work it like a band-aid. And you can cover an area, and then when it cools a little bit, like break a piece of it off, and that's much easier to work with, and it cools a lot faster. I feel like you can really work in the gaps while it's hot. It's still pretty hot to the touch. You can't really touch it for more than a quarter second. But you can already tell it's starting to harden. This stuff seems to harden a lot faster than the black stuff. Yeah, it's already hardening up pretty good. I think that's the ticket.
All right, so I'm filling in for Kyle by the Creek. I'm Jesse, his older brother. We're getting this Bobcat moved up to New York. It's gonna do some brush cutting in the field, and we're gonna do some driveway repair. The guy's here. He's gonna load up the machine. So it's about 4:30 now. So he's not gonna get there till about 9, 10 o'clock tonight at least. But she'll be there in the morning. This poor guy's gotta back down the whole driveway. We don't have room to turn around, but well, he'll get it. Hey, he's here. We're gonna load him up right here. He thinks that's the best spot. And yeah. Alright, well I'm loading it, so that should be interesting. Got it loaded, but the angle we're on is pretty steep. I felt like I was gonna tip over, so he's just gonna pull up and then I'll load the bucket and everything on later. It's kind of a bad decision. I'm definitely gonna flip the Bobcat. So now we're just gonna drive up the driveway. Hopefully this doesn't go poorly. We'll see. Yep, this is super sketch. Oh God. Okay, nobody's died. All right. This is definitely interesting. We're just gonna pull up and see what happens here. All right, that was the scariest thing I've ever done. I almost tipped over, nearly fell off the trailer. But yeah, you know, we're just gonna do it again. Yeah.
We're up here at the cabin. The family here. My parents, my sister-in-law, my brother's coming up in a bit. And this is my brother's quad. We're gonna go down the driveway to where my quad is. I got my repair stuff there. Can of gasoline. Let's hit the road. Let's see if we can rescue a quad. I'm gonna need two hands. I'm gonna have to hold on to that, but we gotta head down the hill. Here's how my quad has stood for a couple months. All right. It's a smaller hole than I remember. But we should be able to fix that up, no problem. All right, so my dad and I are gonna flip flip the quad so the pierced gas tank is pointing directly up. The thing he's not happy about right now is that I just had him turn down the Yankee game on his phone.
He got me out of the nursing home for the weekend to help him flip the quad. Easy.
Pretty good look at the underside. There we go. Now we can see this is going to be easy to fix. That is a tiny little hole. Should be no problem. Okay, so here's how I'm doing it. I have a couple strips of this gas tank that I cut up. I got a screwdriver and a torch. I get that pretty hot and melted and blow it out. And then lay it over top of this hole. And since this hole is pretty little, I'm going to try to just jam it in there. It's already hardening up a little bit. Might have missed the window on this one. No, that's good. So I'm going to do that a couple times. What do you think? You think this is gonna work? Doesn't look terrible, right?
I'll let you know when the gas gets in.
Yeah, I know. I think this beats getting an open flame near this tank. Now it's been sitting here with the gas cap off and obviously a hole in the bottom. It's been sitting like that for 2.5 months. So I don't think we have too much to worry about with fumes or flames, but
Round 3.
yeah. Not gonna be bashful, you know, I'm gonna do a bunch. Okay, so here's the repair job. It's already, I think this is plenty hard and ready to use right now. So we'll flip this thing over and fill it up with some gas and we'll look for some leaks. I can figure out this gas tank, gas can. You guys tell me if it starts leaking. We're looking right here. Seems like it's leaking out of the, oh, I don't have the fuel line on. Actually, doesn't look like it's leaking out of the repair. It's leaking out of the petcock a little bit.
Yeah.
That's new. Not leaking out of the repair.
Can't weld a petcock
No,
to replace it.
that's interesting. But I think we could try to fire it up. I just tighten up the hose, but the petcock is dripping. It's not coming from my repair. Little tiny drip. All right, got a green neutral light. Give it some choke. Let's put it on prime. Doesn't look like I have too much fuel down there yet.
Dripping good from this side.
Dripping like that, but I'm gonna drive it up the hill. Well, I drove it up top to the cabin here, and this is what I'm working on. I figure if I'm gonna have to replace this petcock anyways, might as well try to repair it for now. You know, it's only temporary if it works type of thing. So I just gobbed up the petcock itself, just the knob that you turn. So this is fuel on. I don't know if you could tell the knob is pointing down. This would be prime, and then up would be reserve. So, I don't know. I'm gonna tip it over and we'll see if it leaks. Well, no leaks. So, I guess that works. We'll see if we can ride it around, see if it holds up a bit. Well, good morning. It's the next day, and I did a few more rounds of melting some plastic on the petcock there, and I think we solved it. There's no more drips. That's water dripping off there, but gasoline is not dripping out anymore. And I don't know if you could see this. Here's the update with the Bobcat situation. It's in Ticonderoga. And that's getting closer to us. Gotta drive north though. So I think this is where the driver stayed last night. So I don't think he's on the move yet, but I'm gonna drive this thing, make sure that we're working good the next day here, and go down to the bottom of the property where the driver will show up eventually. We're just messing around here waiting for this Bobcat to be delivered, and you guys might recognize this quad from my Instagram videos. I got this and fixed it up, and my brother bought it from me, and yeah, it's still got some problems. So basically the charging system is suspect, but we do have a terrible battery in it, and that's not doing ourselves any favors. But I don't know if you can read that. It's charging. This is a charger, and it gives you a little voltage readout. So it's got 14.1, 0.3 volts going into it, and you know, if I rev it, we do sometimes get a reaction. It went up to 4 there. So I do think this charging system works a little bit, not a lot. But yeah, even with the lights off, if I turn the lights off, it doesn't really do much, so I don't think we're hurting ourselves with the lights off. Actually, with these quads too, you can run these without a battery. You could pull the battery and do the pull start. But if you do that, if you run this thing around without a battery in it, you have to have the lights on. Because when you put the lights on, it's drawing more amps out of the stator to keep the spark going for whatever reason. That's the best I can describe it. But if you have no battery, try to run it without the lights, it won't stay running. It'll shut off almost immediately. So, oh, look at that. Oh, just dipped down to 7.8, 7.7. So something, oh, and then it faulted. So this battery is just, it's not working. So it'll probably die here in a minute. Let's see if we can get it. We can watch this. It's at 7, 6.9. See if we can rev it. See what happens. Yeah, I don't know. It's not a good sign. Oh, bouncing back up there. Two amps, 6 amps, 12 amps. And then we can get it. I don't know. It's pretty weird stuff, but that's what we're dealing with. And here's the Bobcat. Put the brush cutter right there. Alright, so Ryan's gonna drive it. He's not the primary driver of this thing, but obviously it lives at his house. Jesse's the one who loaded it. hard to tell on camera, I'm sure. That's pretty nerve-wracking for us. We are not pros at this. So I was able to get those both to latch and lock, but somewhere along the line, that one came out. But I guess that one always gives them trouble. So we got a little lucky there.